쇼카트
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There were sheep grazing on the ranch. The shepherd boy was bored. I wonder if there is anything fun to do. It's a wolf! A wolf has appeared! The shepherd boy suddenly shouted towards the village. The village people rushed out surprised.
Where is the wolf?
Ha ha ha! There is no wolf!
What? You shouldn't lie like that.
The village people became angry and went back. A few days passed. I'm so bored. The shepherd boy grumbled to himself. Ha! Should I prank everyone again? It's a wolf! A wolf has appeared! The village people came rushing out again.
Where is the wolf?
Ha ha ha! I fooled you again! There is no wolf!
Lying is not good. It will get you into trouble someday.
The village people went back again very angry. A few days later.
A real wolf appeared. The wolf started to hurt all of the sheep.
It's a wolf! A wolf has appeared! It's a real wolf!
The shepherd boy yelled at the top of his lungs.
But the village people, who fell for his trick 2 times already, pretended not to hear him.
Oh no! I shouldn't have lied.
In the end, the shepherd boy lost all of his sheep to the wolf.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Lion and the Mouse. A lion was fast asleep. Suddenly, a mouse accidentally tapped the lion's tail while scurrying by.
Who is that?
The lion woke up from his slumber. Squeak, squeak! Lion, lion, please don't eat me! The mouse begged the lion while trembling.
Well, I guess I feel sorry for the little guy.
The lion let the mouse go on its way without harming it. A few days passed. The lion got caught in a net.
Roar! Someone save me!
At that moment, the mouse came scurrying. Squeak, squeak! I'll save you, lion! The mouse began to gnaw on the net with its sharp teeth. It gnawed this and that, back and forth, here and there. Finally, the mouse caught the gnat, and the lion was free.
Thank you so much, Mouse.
No problem. I was only returning the favor.
Because they saved each other when they were in need, the lion and the mouse became very, very close friends.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, young Jack lived alone with his mother. But Jack and his mother were very poor. They had no choice but to sell their only cow. While Jack was taking the cow to sell it, a strange grandfather appeared from nowhere.
Hello there, young man. Why don't you trade me your cow for my bean?
No, I can't. I can't trade our cow for a bean.
But this bean is not a regular bean. This bean will make you rich.
Jack suddenly became interested. He eventually traded the cow for the magic bean. When Jack arrived back home and told his mother about the grandfather and how he traded the cow for the magic bean, his mother became very angry. She threw out the bean. Throughout the night, a beanstalk grew and grew. It grew all night long. Jack was very surprised when he came outside. The magic bean that his mom threw away had grown into a very, very big beanstalk. It stretched high into the sky. Jack climbed up the beanstalk. He climbed up through the clouds and continued to climb even more. A long, long way up. When he finally reached the top of the beanstalk, a huge castle appeared. Jack went into the castle. Suddenly, he heard very loud footsteps. The thumping footsteps got louder and louder until a giant with huge feet appeared. Jack was scared. But at that moment, he heard the sound of a chicken clucking. The giant said to the chicken,
Chicken, lay a golden egg.
The chicken laid a golden egg. Jack quickly ran away with the chicken in his arms. As soon as Jack got home, he showed up the giant's chicken to his mother. My goodness, this is the treasure that was stolen from us long ago. Our talking harp was stolen back then too. Jack decided to go get the talking harp that was stolen from them. The giant said to the harp,
Harp, sing me a beautiful song.
Just as the giant spoke, a beautiful song rang throughout the castle. The giant soon fell asleep. Jack quickly ran away with the harp. Master, a thief is stealing me, the harp shouted. Jack ran away down the beanstalk. The giant rumbled after Jack. Mom, the axe! Hurry up and give me the axe! Jack's mom gave him the axe. Jack took a swing at the beanstalk with the axe. The beanstalk didn't budge. The beanstalk started wavering. Finally, the beanstalk fell to the ground. The giant could not come after Jack anymore. Jack and his mother got back the treasures that were stolen by the giant and lived happily ever after as a rich family.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Tortoise and the Hare. One day, a hare hoppity-hopped to a slowly crawling tortoise and said,
Let's run a race to see who's faster.
Sure.
Start!
The hare hoppity-hopped and the tortoise slowly crawled. In an instant, the hare raced away and soon disappeared down the road.
Ha! What a slowpoke! The tortoise is so slow, creeping and crawling. I think I'll take a nap.
The hare snored away. The tortoise continued to creep and crawl, giving it his all. Wow! This is incredible! Soon enough, the tortoise passed ahead of the sleeping hare. The hare was shocked when he woke up. The tortoise was way ahead of him. The hare hoppity-hopped towards the tortoise in a hurry. But the tortoise had already crawled to the top of the mountain. In the end, the slow and steady tortoise, who crept and crawled little by little, beat the speedy hare.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Ant and the Grasshopper. It was a scorching hot summer. A grasshopper was lazily lolling around in the cool, windy shade.
Uh-oh. Such a shame to be working in this scorching hot weather.
He said while looking on at the ants who were working diligently with sweat dripping down their faces.
Heave-haw, heave-haw.
The ants worked diligently to carry their food. They were storing up enough food so they could eat during the cold and long winter days. They piled up mountains and mountains of food. In no time, autumn came. The grasshopper was still lazily lounging around, singing la la la, while the ants were still diligently working.
Heave haw, heave haw.
Swoosh, swoosh. Snow started to pour heavily down from the skies. The entire land became covered in bright white. The grasshopper couldn't find anything to eat. Body shivering, stomach growling. The grasshopper was cold and hungry. Knock, knock, knock. Somebody banged on the door of the ant house.
Ant, ant, please open the door for me.
The ant creaked open the door. It was the grasshopper, body shivering and stomach growling. The kind-hearted ant gave food to the grasshopper and warmed him up. From that day on, the grasshopper no longer lazily lounged around, but rather worked diligently like the ants.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The town mouse and the country mouse. A mouse from the city went to visit a mouse in the countryside. Slip, slap, swish, swash. The country mouse gathered together and served a bunch of corn and potatoes.
Squeak, squeak. How do you eat this stuff? I only eat fluffy, delicious cheese and sweet, scrumptious cakes. Do you want me to take you with me when I go into the city? Squeak, squeak. Really? Can I really go with you?
The country mouse scurried behind the city mouse. The country mouse was surprised to see where the city mouse lived. There was fluffy, delicious cheese and sweet, scrumptious cake on the dining table.
Wow! Everything looks so delicious.
Right when the country mouse was about to eat the food, it heard footsteps. Thump, thump.
Squeak, squeak, squeak! It's humans! Run!
The city mouse and the country mouse scurried away to hide themselves. After a while, the humans went away. Phew! The country mouse and the city mouse went back to the dining table. And right when they were about to eat again, this time, meow! A cat appeared.
Squeak, squeak, squeak! It's a cat! Run!
Bang, clang, plop, thud. The country mouse was so startled that it shuddered in fear.
Squeak, squeak, squeak! I'm going back to the countryside. I like living comfortably in my home.
The country mouse scurried back to the countryside and lived happily ever after.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a nice, pretty girl in a village. The girl's mother died when she was young, so she lived with her father. One day, a stepmother and 2 older sisters came to live with them. The girl was happy to have a mother and sisters. But the stepmother and sisters were very mean. A few years later, the girl's father died too. And the stepmother and sisters became even meaner to the girl.
Cinderella, the kitchen! Cinderella! Cinderella, do the laundry!
They nicknamed her Cinderella to make fun of her for being covered in ashes. One day, they heard there would be a royal ball at the castle.
Cinderella, bring me my dress! Cinderella, make my hair prettier!
Cinderella was so busy that her head started swirling. The stepmother and sisters were all dressed up and left for the royal ball in a carriage. I want to go to the ball too. Cinderella was very sad. Then suddenly, a fairy grandmother appeared out of nowhere. The fairy grandmother smiled at her and said,
Can you please find me a big pumpkin, a mouse, and a lizard?
Sure, I'll bring them for you. The fairy grandmother twirled her magic wand. Oh goodness! The big pumpkin turned into a golden carriage. The tiny mouse turned into a majestic horse. And the speedy lizard turned into a strapping horseman. Cinderella was also wearing a beautiful dress.
These glass slippers are gift to you. You must remember, Cinderella. Everything will turn back to how it was at midnight. So, you must come back home before then. Do not forget.
Yes, fairy grandmother. Thank you so much. Cinderella arrived at the ball and was dazzlingly beautiful. People couldn't take their eyes off of her. The prince asked Cinderella for a dance. Throughout the ball, Cinderella danced with the prince. The clock struck midnight. Cinderella ran from the prince and left the ball to keep her promise to the fairy grandmother. The prince chased after her. But Cinderella had already left in the carriage. There was only a single glass slipper on the stairs.
Make sure to find the owner of this glass slipper.
The prince searched everywhere for the owner of the glass slipper. He finally arrived at Cinderella's house. The two sisters tried to force on the glass slipper, but it didn't fit them. The prince discovered Cinderella standing afar.
Please, try on this glass slipper too.
The glass slipper fit Cinderella's foot perfectly. The stepmother and sisters were so surprised that they were at a loss for words. The prince was overjoyed. Cinderella lived happily ever after with the prince.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Grateful Magpies. A big snake slithered towards a magpie. A wandering traveler who was passing through the mountains saw the magpie in danger. He whipped out a bow and shot it at the snake. Phew! The magpie safely escaped. That night, the traveler had to spend the night in the mountains. But suddenly, an enormous snake, much bigger than the one earlier in the day, slithered towards the traveler. How dare you kill my brother? The frightened traveler shook in fear. Please spare me my life. It was because I felt bad for the magpie. If the bell in that mountain rings 3 times before dawn, I'll let you live. The night passed, and it got brighter and brighter. But the bell didn't sound. Oh no, I am a dead man. At that moment, the bell sounded. My goodness, how can this be? The snake was angry. but it kept its promise and slithered away. The traveler hurried to the bell in the mountain. In front of the bell, blooded magpies lie dead on the ground.
It was you who saved my life. Thank you so much.
The traveler buried the magpies with a grateful heart and continued on his journey.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Dog and the Cat. Once upon a time, a kind-hearted elderly fisherman lived with a dog and a cat. One day, the fisherman caught a big fish.
Here we go. My, oh my, you're a big one.
But the fish began to cry. So the kind-hearted fisherman let the fish go. At that moment, the Dragon King emerged from the ocean.
Thank you for letting my son go. Let me gift you a blue marble that will make you any wish come true.
The Dragon King gave the fisherman the blue marble and disappeared back into the water. The elderly fisherman made a wish. Dear blue marble, please bring me a house with a roof. Wow! The elderly fisherman's house, which had been run down and shabby, transformed into a large house with a tiled roof. The fisherman, his dog, and his cat were overjoyed. However, after hearing about what had happened, a greedy grandmother from across the river came to ask if she could see the blue marble. The kind-hearted fisherman showed her the blue marble. The greedy grandmother suddenly ran away with it. As soon as the greedy grandmother left, the elderly fisherman's large house became run down and shabby again. When the dog and the cat saw that the elderly fisherman was sad, they decided to go and find the blue marble for him. They headed to the village across the river to the house where the now rich, greedy grandmother lived. Upon arriving at the greedy grandmother's house, the dog and the cat caught a mouse living in the house. They said to the mouse, "Meow! If you want to live, go and bring us the blue marble." In an instant, the squeaking mouse brought them the blue marble. The dog and the cat with the blue marble in hand were crossing the river to go home. However, the dog worried about the marble. Asked the cat, "Cat, You have the marble, right? The cat, who was carrying the marble in its mouth, couldn't answer the dog. Then the dog asked again. Cat, you have the marble, right? Because the dog kept asking, the cat had no choice but to open its mouth to answer. At that moment, the marble fell into the river. When they finally got to the other side of the river, the dog slowly crept home even though he felt sorry. However, the cat, who was very upset for losing the marble, stayed and just kept looking at the river. After a while, a dead fish rose from the water right in front of the cat. And what do you know? The blue marble was in the mouth of the fish. The cat grabbed the marble and quickly rushed home. The elderly fisherman was very happy and embraced the cat, giving it a lot of love and attention. The dog had no choice but to watch the fisherman and the cat from afar. The cat hated the dog because it had just left the cat behind at the river. And the dog hated cat because it received all of the fisherman's love and attention. From then on, dogs and cats came to dislike and grow at each other.
알록달록 동화 뚝딱.
The Little Green Frog. Ribbit, ribbit. A mother frog and a baby frog lived together. But the baby frog always did the opposite of what he was told. Ribbit, ribbit. Big trip, big trip. Come here, honey. Ribbit, ribbit.
Oh, you mean go over there? Ribbit, ribbit.
The mother frog worried deeply about the baby frog, who always did the opposite of what she said. One day, the mother frog said to the baby frog, "Don't go swimming in the river today." But, as always, the baby frog immediately splashed into the river.
Ribbit, rabbit. Ribbit, ribbit.
Just then, a huge bird appeared from nowhere. It went after the baby frog. The mother frog jumped into the river to save the baby frog. She became very ill after bravely fighting to save the baby frog. "If I die, don't bury me in the mountains, Ribbit. Bury me in that stream." The mother frog said this so that the baby frog, who did the opposite of everything he was told, would bury her in the mountainside, where she would not wash away, even if it rained. Soon, the mother frog passed away. The baby frog was extremely sad.
I must listen to my mother's last dying wish. Ribbit, ribbit.
The baby frog buried the mother frog in the stream. But he was worried that her grave would wash away when the rain came and the stream flooded.
Ribbit, ribbit.
So from then on, the baby frog always cried at the edge of the stream whenever it rained, dreading the days that he did not listen to his mother.